Good afternoon, everyone who's on time. That are not here, not good afternoon to them. First off, it is Representative Samsel's birthday today. Happy birthday. Hope you're having a good day. Hope we don't ruin it. We have one bill hearing today, and that's it. Senate Bill 141. So I'll open that hearing and we'll have Natalie give us an overview, or attempt to give us an overview. These are always fun things that come from the Probate Judicial Council Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 141 would enact the Kansas Uniform Directed Trust Act. Section 1 names the act, and Section 2 provides definitions that will be used throughout the act. Section 3 provides that the applicability of the act to a trust whenever created that has its principal place of administration in this state. If the trust was created before July 1, 2022, then this act only applies to a decision or action occurring on or after July 1, 2022. If the principal place of administration of the trust is changed to this date on or after July 1, 2022, then this act only applies to a decision or action occurring on or after that date. I would note that those dates used to be 2021 since this was introduced last year, but the Senate committee amended it to update it to this year's dates. Section 4 provides that the common law and principles of equity supplement the act, except to the extent modified by the act or laws of this state or other than this act. Section 5 provides a list of powers that the act does not apply to, including powers of appointment. Section 6 provides that the terms of a trust may grant a power of direction to a trust director. Unless the terms of a trust provide otherwise, a trust director would be able to exercise any further power appropriate to exercise or non-exercise of a power of direction granted to them. And trust directors with joint powers must act by a majority decision. Section 7 provides that a trust director is subject to the same rules as a trustee in a like position and under similar circumstances in the exercise or non-existence of a power of direction or further power regarding a payback provision and a charitable interest in the trust, including notice regarding that interest to the Attorney General. Section 8 imposes certain fiduciary duties and liabilities on the trust director and provide that the terms of a trust can impose additional duties and liabilities. Section 9 provides that a directed trust shall take reasonable action to comply with a trust director's exercise or non-exercise of a power of direction or further power, and the trustee is not liable for that action. Section 9 also provides that a directed trustee must not comply with the trust director's exercise or non-exercise of a power of direction or further power to the extent that by complying with that, they would engage in willful misconduct. Section 10 requires a trustee to provide certain information to a trust director, and it requires that trust director to provide certain information to a trustee or another trust director. Section 11 provides that certain duties are not imposed on a trustee or trust director unless the terms of the trust provide otherwise. Section 12 provides that the terms of a trust may relieve a co-trustee from duty and liability with respect to another co-trustee's exercise or non-exercise of a power of the other co-trustee to the same extent that in a directed trust, a directed trustee is relieved from that duty and liability with respect to a trust director's power of direction under sections 9 through 11. Section 13 provides that an action against a trust director for breach of trust must be commenced with the same limitation period under KSA 58A 1005, and a report or accounting has the same effect on the limitation period for an action against a trust director for breach of trust that the report or accounting would have under KSA 58A 1005. Section 14 provides that in such an action for breach of trust, the director may assert the same defense as a trustee in a like position and under similar circumstances could assert in an action for breach of trust against that trustee. Section 15 provides that by accepting appointment as a trust director of a trust subject to the Kansas Uniform Directed Trust Act, the director submits to personal jurisdiction of the courts of this state regarding any matter related to their duties. Section 16 provides that certain rules applicable to a trustee apply to a trust director unless the terms of a trust provide otherwise. Section 17 provides for consideration to be given to the need to promote uniformity in the law. Section 18 describes the extent to which this act impacts the electronic signatures in Global and National Commerce Act. Section 19 amends KSA 58A 103 to amend the definition of terms of a trust. I would note that that section was amended last year. So when the Senate made the amendments to their bill, they actually had to remove that section and replace it with the most recent version. Section 20 amends KSA 58A 105 to provide that the duty of a trustee to act in good faith and administer the trust in accordance with KSA 58A 801 is subject to the provisions of sections 9, 11, and 12. Section 21 amends KSA 58A 603 to provide that while a trust is revocable, the trustee may follow a direction of a settlor that is contrary to the terms of the trust. Section 22 amends KSA 58A 703 regarding co-trustees to make the provisions also subject to Section 12 of this Act. And then again, as I noted throughout, the Senate Committee on Judiciary made technical changes to change the years to conform with this session. And I can take any questions.
Do we have any questions for Natalie? Thank you, Natalie. We have one proponent signed up to testify, Christine Graham, and she is on WebEx. Good afternoon.
Let me unmute myself. I apologize. Good afternoon. You want me just to dive in?
Just go for it.
All right. This is my first time, so bear with me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christine Graham, and I'm here on behalf of the Kansas Judicial Council Probate Law Advisory Committee. We have been reviewing and studying this act for some time, and as indicated in the materials that we provided, we do recommend the adoption of Senate Bill 141 and the Uniform Directed Trust Act. In our review and study of the Act, we found that no substantive changes to the Uniform Act were warranted. The Act, as written, accomplishes the primary purpose and goals for which we are supporting this Act, and that is that it does provide a strong statutory framework for directed trust. As you may know, a directed trust is an opportunity to divide the administrative powers of the trust between multiple parties, not just having all those powers lie with the trustee, but to divide them among the trustee and one or more trust directors. And having this statutory framework helps to provide a clear delineation of the powers, the fiduciary duties, the liabilities of both the trust directors as well as the trustees. The Act is gaining some traction. I think as of now, 15 states have adopted the Act. And in addition to those states that have adopted the Uniform Act, I would note that there are many other states that have adopted similar statutory frameworks while not adopting the Uniform Act. And so the adoption of directed trust legislation in the U.S. is much broader than the 15 states that have adopted the Uniform Trust Act. So the Uniform Directed Trust Act. As our law currently stands in Kansas, we do not have the framework that we need to support directed trust, and unfortunately, because we are just relying on the provisions of the Uniform Trust Code, which do not adequately support the formation and adoption of a true directed trust with clearly bifurcated trustee powers and duties. So the adoption of this Act would provide us with that framework and would give citizens more opportunities to expand their estate planning and to consider this option. So I'll stop there and ask if there are any questions that I can answer.
Any questions, committee? I do not see any, Christine, and I appreciate you being here because I cannot pronounce Mark's last name, so it's good that you're here because I can say Christine Graham, but Mark can knackle whatever. Boog has a question. Representative Heiberger.
Yeah, I apologize for not having read the bill closely already, but do the trust directors have the same fiduciary responsibilities as the trustee, or is there a difference there?
Yes. that is one of the benefits of the Act, is that if you do designate a trust director to hold fiduciary powers, they will be held to a fiduciary standard. And having that defined in the statute is very important, as some other jurisdictions have taken a different approach, where you can draft your document in such a way that you can name a trust director, you can give them powers that are fiduciary, but then you can also include exculpatory language that says they're not held to a fiduciary standard, which is not a good situation. So yes, short answer is yes.
Any other questions? Okay, committee, we have written proponent testimony from Joe Molina with the Kansas Bar Association, and despite the fact he's here today, he said he would not answer questions. Any other proponents? Okay, any neutral conferees? Any opponents? Okay, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 141. Committee, that is it for today. For tomorrow, we have 3 bill hearings, really just 2, because there's a House bill and a Senate bill that are identical, but I'll open the hearing on both of them at the same time, and we will determine after that if we want to work it, which one of those make the most sense to work. We also could potentially work some bills tomorrow. So if you want to write these down, 2556 is the expungement bill that we have already worked. It went below the line and it's back in committee. There may or may not be an amendment on that, and depending on if we get there, we may work it tomorrow. 2495 is the disclosure of personal information for 501c organizations that we heard some time ago. The parties are supposed to be working on an amendment. If they come up with that, we could potentially work it, but at this point, I've not heard that an amendment's ready. And then Senate Bill 300 from yesterday and Senate Bill 141 from today. So take a look at those. If you've got any concerns with either 300 or 141, or you want more time, let me know that. Got it. 300 was a racketeering bill we heard yesterday. The dark web, Representative Carmichael in his basement, that one. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.